Sister Riana. The Facebook is on.
Yes. Thank you, brother. Good evening, Bhante and all Kalyana Mitra Sukimantu. I'm Aliana and welcome to Sutta Discussion Day 72 by Bhante Dr. Chandima. Tonight class, we are going to discuss a new sutta. Tonight class is the first sutta, tonight class is the first class of Sabbāsava Sutta. Sabbāsava Sutta is the sixth sutta from the total of 10.
Sabbāsava Sutta.
Sabbāsava Sutta, sorry, Bhante. Sabbāsava Sutta is the sixth sutta from the total of 10 sutta that have been chosen by Bhante Chandima for this sutta discussion. For those who have missed our previous classes, please check on Ti-Ratana Vihara Amapadana Klang's Facebook page and YouTube channel. We have uploaded the previous 71 classes there. The Sutta discussion Zoom class is always open, therefore whoever that wish to join the class via Zoom where we can engage directly with Bhante can contact us on Ti-Ratana Vihara Amapadana Klang's Facebook Messenger. We are always welcoming newcomers. Our speaker, Bhante Dr. Chandima, is the Associate Editor of the Journal of International Buddhist Studies, or JIBS, which is published by the Buddhist Research Institute of Mahachulalongkorn Raja Vidyalaya University in Thailand. He was previously a research fellow at the Center for Studies in Religion and Society, or CSRS, at University of Victoria, Canada. Bhante Dr. Chandima was also Theravada Buddhist chaplain at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada from year 2012 to 2016. Bhante is currently the senior advisor to Ti-Ratana, a virtual Dharma organization that hosts a weekly online Pali reading class, Sutta discussions, Dharma talks, and a variety of other Dharma activities. His Dharma work can be accessed at patisotta.blogspot.com. Without further ado, we welcome once again Bhante, and thank you very much for the wonderful talk.
Thank you, Aliana, for the gracious introduction as ever. Good evening, Dhamma friends. Today we are moving on to a new sutta after 6 months of time, after finishing up the greatest Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So today we have Aliana, Lim, Kelvin Liu, Kim, Brother Wu, Lim, Nayen. Lim, you are back here after giving us lots of good news. I hope that you will continue to be healthier, happier, and Shirley probably would be the one who is the farthest from us, Kada. And Barbara Kema is new to us, Jacqueline Hui, also new to us. Probably she might be following us on Facebook, and Hema. A couple others might be joining as we continue. So let's get started by paying respect to the Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhase. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhase. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhase. Any feedback about our Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta's 6 months discussion? I think I asked some questions, a lot of questions the other week about how you felt. I heard the timing was really accommodating to discuss about that kind of a very lengthy sutta, and also to touch down all the most important aspects. So this sutta we call Sabbāsava. How many of you are familiar with this sutta before? Sabbāsava? No idea? Sabbāsava Sutta. There's one. How about others? Kim, Aliana, are you familiar? Brother Boo, Kim, Ling, Nine, China. Really? That's not a shame. But I think this is the sutta I gave a talk in the retreat. Sacred pose, remember? See, I gave a talk about this sutta. Remember that I said there are 7 ways to overcome defilements. Remember? This is that sutta. See? That's why we have to bring what we hear to our practice, going beyond our knowledge. All right. Before that, I want to say that this is the most important sutta by which we can understand that there are 7 ways to overcome our negative mental states. Now you see people in retreats, meditation aspects, maybe non-meditation settings, they talk about overcoming akusalas, negative mental states. What is their buzzword when it comes to the overcoming defilements? How many of them explain this thing? What is their normal, most popular way of explaining this thing? What is their solution that they are talking about? They are always talking about. Yeah. No, I'm asking if you see that. Yes, true. That is inside our talk today. Thank you for bringing up. No, I mean, when many people talk about Dhamma speakers, gurus, when they talk about how to overcome akusala minds, I would say, kilesas, what is their normal suggestion in many talks, in many retreats? They always talk about meditating on certain aspects so that you overcome negative mental state, isn't it? Is it what you've been listening to all the time? Practice meditation so that you will overcome your kilesas, lobha dosa moha. Or perhaps 1,500 kilesas. Do you know that? You may have 1,500 kilesas. That's a bad number, right? 1,500 kilesas. I even cannot understand, someone might say. This was an abhidhammic way of looking at it. We don't want to think about that many. Then we will be frustrated about even the practice. We only know the 3 main akusala states, akusala roots, lobha, dosa, moha. So in addition to these 3, okay, probably from these 3 akusala roots, there are 1,500 kilesas are coming up. That's a bad number. I mean, we have to be really careful about it. I mean, if this is what we have to understand. But what you normally hear from many places, books, talks, retreats is that only by meditating, only by cultivating the thoughts, you can overcome defilements, kilesas, akusala mental states, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, Bhante, or to use different methods, like if sitting makes you drowsy, you stand up and walk, and then
let's move our questions to the Q&A so that we can have a first talk. And then, we can ask your questions later. So today I'm going to tell you that's not what the Buddha asks us to do. Only that's not the only thing that the Buddha asks us to do. The Buddha told us in clear terms that there are 7 ways to overcome 7 akusala states, or maybe bunch of akusalas in 7 ways. That means there's no one way to overcome your kilesas. If you haven't learned this before, today you're gonna learn. Right? From today onwards.
Until normally they talk about Pancha Nivarana, the 5 hindrances.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Let's leave all the questions for the Q&A. Otherwise, we will go here and there, right?
Right.
Okay. Keep the questions. Save the questions for the Q&A. Barbara, Tisilim. So, this is a very interesting, very important thing, because in understanding that we are struggling with our negative mental states, I would say akusalas, or maybe I would say kilesas, or whatever you call. If we do not understand that there are 7 ways to tackle, 7 ways to deal, 7 ways to overcome different groups of akusalas, different groups of kilesas. If we don't understand that, we don't know how to do it, this is the sutta that makes clear all such methodology. So there are 7 ways to deal with 7 bunch of akusalas, kilesas. That means all the akusalas that you've been struggling, you call it pancha nivarana, you call it akusala roots, you call it āsavas, you call it kilesas, you call it papanchas, you call it whatever negativities, akusala states, will be diminished, will be overcome under one of these 7 ways. So this is very important. With that, let's get into the sutta. Right. So this is not my designing, okay? This is from internet, but just I think this is interesting to show how it looks like. So as you can see, the Buddha says that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How come it has been 8? 7 days. Yeah, this has been more about it. We go to the sutta, much better. Okay. This is the sutta. As you can see, this is the second sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya. This one do not count. This is a textual reference from the Pali Society. So this is the second sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya. Sutta's name is Sabbāsava. What is it? Sabbāsava. What is Sabbāsava? Āsavā, Sabbā. There are 2 words. Probably I'm going to make it a little smaller so that we will see our okay, so we have to understand what is āsavā, what is sabbā. Okay, what is sabbā? Sabbā.
All, Bhante?
Sabbā means all. Now, in the Dhamma, sabbā has a different connotation. Now, let me start this with another perspective. Have you ever heard the word called sabbanyu? Sabbanyu. What is sabbanyu? Sabbanyu. Sabbanyu means, you could say, what happened to the orange pad over here? Sabbanyu. Probably I'm going to send to you on the chat. So please take a look at the chat over here. Much better for you. Sabbanyu. You got it, right? Sabbanyu. Sabbanyu means omniscient, the omniscient one. That means there is a appellation to the Buddha that he knows everything. Okay. Who calls the Buddha to be Sabbanyu? Is it the Buddha or somebody else? Who calls the Buddha is Sabbanyu? Is it by the Buddha himself or somebody else? Now you know that probably in talks, in books, you may have heard that Buddha is Sabbanyu. Who calls the Buddha is Sabbanyu? Is it by the Buddha himself or is it by another group of people? in the early Nikayas, there are certain suttas where people ask from the Buddha, people say you are Sabbā. And the other teachers, contemporary teachers, pre-Buddhist teachers, they are recognizing, they are telling other people that they are Sabbānyu as well. Sabbānyu means they know everything. They know about the world, they know about everything. So they are calling themselves to be Sabbā. Are you Sabbā? You are Sabbānyu too, right? And the Buddha said, I am not Sabbā. I am not the omniscient. Then who calls the Buddha to be Sabbānyu? Senior arahants, senior monks in a book called Patisambhida Magga. The book is called, which is ascribed to Arahant Sariputta, Patisambhida Magga. Actually, scholars say this is the book in the Sutta Pitaka which led to the Abhidhamma. You know, Abhidhamma, there are 7 books. This is the book from the Sutta where you see the Abhidhamma version. This book has all the analytical and synthetical aspects of Buddhism. Now, let me make clear. What is analysis in Buddhism and what is synthesis in Buddhism? Analysis and synthesis. Analysis and synthesis. How do we understand these two terms? Analysis means that you are dissecting the Dhamma matters. You say that anicca is so and so, dukkha is so and so. And then anatta is so and so, right? The first noble truth is so and so. The second noble truth is so and so. The third noble truth is so and so. The fourth noble truth is so and so. There are 5 aggregates. We're going to dissect them into 5. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara. There are 4 Satipatthanas. Kaya Anupassana, Vedana Anupassana, Citta. In this way, you are dissecting. You are breaking those individual Dhamma matters into certain other categories merely to understand them in a better way. When you dissect them, you will understand them in a better way. When they are together, you might think, I might not be able to understand, right? But when you are dissecting, when you are breaking them into different pieces, what we call by analysis, then the other problem that will come to you at a certain time is how to assemble them back again as a concept, how to put them together and understand the whole concept. We call it synthesis. Synthesizing means that you understand what you analyze. So Patisambhida Magga is the first book, I would say the only and the first book in the Dhamma teachings where the roots of Abhidhamma can be seen. In this book, there's a chapter about the Buddha's knowledges, jnanas, where senior monks, of course, Bhanakas maybe, they call that Buddha is Sabbānyu, not even in one way, in many ways. But there is a sutta in somewhere in Samyutta Nikaya or Anguttara Nikaya, it's called Sabbāsava Sutta. In this sutta, Buddha says, Sabbā means our internal and external bases. My chakku is a base. My eyes represent a base. What is a base, Namahooks? Base. You know, the soldiers have bases, right? They have satellite units. They have bases. They get together. They communicate each other through their communications. Intelligence, they have satellite agencies. They get together. We never know how they get together, but they know. They decode, encode the terrorist languages. They are well prepared for that, for any potential attack or any operations. In the same way, bases are bases where we are bringing all the sensory objects into a certain place. My piece of ice is a base. My ears represent a base. Why? All the sabdas come into that base. All sounds come into that base. What is that base called? Ears. All the images, sights come to that eye base. and all the smells come to my base called nose. All the tastes come to my base called tongue. All the touches come to my base called body. And all the thoughts come to the base of mind. In this way, we have fundamentally 6 bases. Now, Buddha says in that Sabbāsava Sutta, it's another sutta, that I know everything in the sense of all the bases. He knew about the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. In that case, he's Sabbana, but he never calls himself as Sabbanya compared to other teachers. Why did I bring about this Sabbana? Sabbāsava. Now, what does Sabbāsava mean? You might call all. Actually, all āsavā means influxes. There are many other translations. Even I did not change a translation that I got from some influxes. Now, all influxes. All influxes means all your defilements start from these influxes by being based on the lobha dosa moha roots. Lobha dosa moha roots, influxes, then defilements. In between influxes and the defilements, there are other certain type of akusalas. What are they called? Upakilesas. I could write over here. Okay, now it's better. Let me write it here. Now, kusala roots, right? This is the first place. Then influxes. Then upakilesas. Then kilesas. Right? So the whole process is called as papancha. Interesting, huh? This is how we understand these words, Pali words. Akusala roots, influxes, upakilesas, and then kilesas, and then papanchas. See this way. Sorry about that. I think you all wrote it down, right? Okay, once again, akusala roots, influxes, upakilesas, kilesas. So the whole process of making the mind polluted is called papancha. Okay. Akusala roots means what are they? Lobha, dosa, moha. From lobha, dosa, moha, there come influxes. Then between influxes and kilesas, you see another subtype. We call it upakilesas. What are upakilesas? There are upakilesas. You can see here, there are 16 upakilesas given in the Majjhima Nikaya 7, 8. Majjhima Nikaya Vattupama Sutta. If you go there, you can see Majjhima Nikaya 7 is upakilesas. Upakilesas are certain, I would say, certain subsequent akusalas that easily take you to kilesas. Kilesas are not I would say, quickly created without the support of upakilesas. Normally, once influxes start, then upakilesas are the ones that support you to create kilesas. That means if you can take care of you at the level of upakilesas, you are not able to create kilesas. Now, see what they are, then you can have a understanding about what they mean. Covetousness and unrighteous greed, abhijja, visamalo, vyapada. Then anger, hostility, denigration, makha, domineering, that means manipulations, controlling other people. Issa means jealousy. Machariya means stinginess. Maya means hypocrisy. Sateya means fraud. Thamba means not respecting others, obstinacy, disobedient. Saram, presumption. Conceit, man. Arrogance, atiman. Vanity, mother. Negligence, mama. Now, if you can remember, if you can reflect upon your friendships, your other people, most of people who you think that they are creating any, I would say, akusalas, you won't see that they are creating lots of kilesas, but you see that they are with so much upakilesas. The reason is that, now, say for instance, there is somebody who is very arrogant. In your understanding, do you consider it as a kilesa? In your family circle, friend circle, you see that there is somebody who is very arrogant, not respecting others. Do you consider it as a kilesa? No, you might think this is that person's attitude. This is his way or her way. But it is an upakilesa, which takes that person to kilesa. Say, let's take another one. Maya. Do we have Maya over here? Hopefully. See, hypocrisy. Maya. What does Maya mean? What does Maya mean? Hypocrisy. Now, what does hypocrisy mean? In clear terms, it says, after doing any akusala, maybe after doing anything wrong, someone is going to conceal, hide that particular akusala. Concealing one's own akusala. Do you consider it as a big problem in your life circles, in your family circles, friend circles? I don't think you might consider it as a very big issue, but it is a big issue, right? So when you have Maya, you are bringing yourself into kilesa. So these are upakilesas, we call them impurities, which we do not that much consider as being very dangerous. Because of that, we are getting trapped into those bigger level, larger level of kilesas. I think it's good to sort of explain a little bit them again. Okay. Here you can see abhijja. Abhijja means covetousness. In other words, I would say greed about what you have. Greed about what you have as persons and other things. Then the other part of the dual side of the other part of the Vishama, what you call abhijja is Vishamaloba. Vishamaloba we call it, see. Abhijja is covetousness and Vishamaloba is unrighteous greed. What is that? What is Vishamaloba? That you are not only greedy for your stuff, you are greedy for what other people own. Interesting, right? That is Visamaloba. It's not the normal lobe. Now, let's say you don't have any ownership. You have nothing over there, but you still want to own what other people have. See, these are my people. This is what I've been a part of, but it is not actually yours. We call it Visamaloba. The Buddha says these are upakilesas. Greed about what you have, greed about what other people have. Other people might not have lobha for what they have, but you are having lobha for what they have. Right? See? Then ill will, you know what it is. Anger means koda. Now, if you want to justify koda, Don't justify it as not only an emotion. Koda is what you are bringing your hatred into some simple code. You know that some devas are dying out of lots of koda in heavens. Devas have lots of what do you call koda, right? Some devas die from heaven just because they are very angry about stuff. Some devas might be very perfectionist people. They want to do things in a certain way. Things happen in a different way. They are not happy about. So much angry and they die. They expire from those places without leaving their body. So koda, do not simply take koda as a simple thing. I remember there was a funny story that happened to a Dhamma school somewhere in Canada. There was one gentleman who is always teaching anger management. Every day he comes, he teaches anger management. This is his only topic. Now for a couple of weeks. So students are really kind of frustrated about this topic. Always talk about same thing, every day same thing. Very boring. So one day when he came, a couple of students, they laugh at a certain thing. So he took it in a very wrong way. So he asked those students to leave the Dhammas. So now it went to the principal. And then principal, brought the teacher and then the couple of students. And the students admitted laughing at the teacher was bad. So they were sorry for that. But because he was teaching anger management, he couldn't have been angry too. But he was angry. He did not set a practical example to us. So I think that is not good too, they said. Right? Because you've been talking about anger management, but you yourself would not manage your anger, handle your anger. He was a professor in a local university in Canada at that time. Funny story. But anyway, there's something to learn. So koda, right? And then you can see, this is interesting. Now, what is makka? Upanaha means revenge. Revenge is a upakilesa. That means you are trying to take revenge from certain other people, right? Maybe you have lots of hatred about somebody. Somebody has been, you are always thinking about, I was mistreated, I was, pushed to do this and that. And then you are having lots of thoughts of revenge. That will take you to a lot of kilesas. Initially, at upakilesa level, you can do something to that. But when it became a kilesa, you may have done all the other akusalas. You may have killed somebody. You may have said something bad about them. Then this is called jealousy, issa. Right? So jealousy also takes you to a lot of bad things. Stinginess, we have to separate out lobha and then maccharya. What is the difference between these two? Now, when you offer dana, monks talk about, please reduce your lobha. Has any monk, has anybody talked to you that, hey, please reduce your maccharya also? Is there a difference between these two terms? Lobha and maccharya. Lobha is akusala root, but maccharya is a upakilesa, impurity. What is the difference between these two terms? Lobha means that you are not giving to somebody without a certain rationalized perspective. Maybe you are not giving, but you don't have anything in particular about that thought. You are simply not giving. You are a very self-centered person. Maccharya means you are not giving because you don't like to see other people enjoy what you give. Interesting, right? Maccharya. You may have seen some people who are not even giving to others. They are not eating too. They are not enjoying too. Right? They are called people who have maccharya. Now, maccharya is a upakilesa, right? remember that famous story that involved Arhan Moggalla and one banker, his name called Machariya Kosi. Has anybody ever heard that story? One day, one banker is a very, very stingy. This is the English term stingy. Loba means greedy. The stingy man told his wife, I want to eat some sweets, but we have to go to the 7th floor of our house to make the sweets, because if the smell goes out, the poor people come and knock our door and ask our sweets. So they both went to the 7th floor. Now on the same day, Arhan Moggalla was dispatched by the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha. This guy is having lots of stinginess today. Go and do something for him. And then now they are making a lot of sweets. We call it poopas. Poopa means, those sweets. In Sri Lankan styles, we have this, what do you call, if you want to go to enjoy this next time, go to Sri Lanka, try eating this. Oh, poopas. This one. We call it. Oh, all right, traditional sweets. So now what happened was that then Arhan Moggalla was seen in the sky, and he saw, both of them saw. So he was unhappy about it. We were trying to eat alone, but this monk came in the sky. So he said to the monk, he doesn't know who that monk is. If you are doing anything in the sky, you are not going to get any sweet from us. Yeah? What happened was that Arhan Moggalla was releasing some smoke around the place with his power, levitation power. So he was disappointed about what's happening. So he said, okay, you make a small, very small pooper and they give it to him. So the wife made a small, I would say, pooper and put into the frying pan. It became the biggest pooper in in the pan. So he was very unhappy about it too, actually. Then finally what happened, they felt that this is very annoying. Give the whole poopers to him and we will make another set of poopers here. And Arhan Moggalla said, no, I'm not going to accept. You have to bring all the poopers to the Jetavanara and then offer it to offer to all the Mahasangha, accompanied by the Buddha. So he's Machari. The problem he had was not giving. He doesn't like other people enjoy what they enjoy. Right? Now there are some Dana people. There are 3 Dana donors in Buddhism, right? I think you may have heard those things. The Buddha says Dana Dasa. Let me type for you. Dana Dasa. The first donor. Second one, Dana Sahaya. Third one, Dana Pati. These are 3 types of donors, the way how they offer, how they give things to others. Dana Dasa means someone who is offering things to other people, not even in the way that that person enjoys things. Let's say if that person wants to give something, maybe offer something to Sangha or somebody else, he or she is not giving the way how she or he eats even. Looking for an inferior level of food, maybe the way, maybe the place and all that. But he or she is still good, better than somebody who is never giving. But Buddha says this person is called Dana Dasa. The second category of donors is Dana Sahaya. This particular person, when offering, he or she is giving exactly the same food that person consumes. Let's say he or she eats a certain kind of food, he or she only gives that particular food on, not anything better than what he eats or she eats.
Kind of Dana.
And then the third type of donor is called Dana Pati. Dana Pati means a donor, Dayaka. When he or she is offering, he or she is giving the best. Maybe she or he is not eating the way, how that way of giving the Dharma. He or she is trying the best to give. Now here, she understands I have to keep my finances well, but still I'm making the best out of my Dharma. The Buddha says, Dhanapati is our ideal person. If you could, because in the first two, you are not doing that to the best of you. Still, you are better than somebody who is not giving. Anyways, Macharya means someone who is not giving with a reason. The reason is he or she does not like other people are consuming, happy about what he is giving to them. So this is called Macharya. There's a clear difference. And then Maya, I already talked about that. That means concealing after doing wrong things. Then Sateya. Sateya means wrong living. Wrong living means if you are a monastic, you are trying to create more respect from the people, expecting more respect. I'm such, I'm so and so, so you have to respect me, you know, getting more respect. So Micha Aji, right? So there are things that people can, if you are a lay person, you are cheating on people in different ways, just to live, make a living out of it. So this is called Sati. Then Thamba means you are very arrogant person. I would say in a better term, you are so obstinate, disobedient to the people around you, maybe to the situation. Then Saramba is very interesting. What is Saramba? Saramba means emulation. Let's say you are a devotee in a temple. You are comparing yourself to other devotees. I want to do better than that devotee. That devotee offers this way, but I want to do better than that devotee. Then you have Saramba. Maybe that devotee is meditating. I want to do more meditation to stand up. Saramba. Have you ever considered this is a upakilesa? I don't think you haven't heard about it. This is why a lot of people get into kilesas. Saramba means the nature of outsmarting others, the nature of emulating other people, comparing one's virtues, one's abilities, one's skills, spiritual, material, you call it, you name it. Emulation perspective. Buddha says it is a upakilesa. You don't have to emulate other people. It's a self-practice. Do the way you can. Do the best you can. You never need to compare yourself to others. If you're going to compare, then you are getting stuck into a lot of kills. Then conceit, mana. Mana means you are trying to size up. Now, saramba means you are trying to emulate. Now here, mana means you are trying to size up with other people. I am higher than somebody, or I am lower than somebody, or I am equal to somebody. You see, you know, this very famous gentleman was in my class. So, you know, we were in the same class and we were like same, we were making money in the same way. You are trying to compare yourself to other people just as a mindset. Earlier, emulation. It's a different perspective out of mana. Then atimana means arrogance. Mada means intoxication. Intoxication, you can be intoxicated not only by alcohol, but also by different other ways. How many mothers we know in the Dhamma? In Abhidhamma, it talks about 108 mothers, intoxications. They are not specifically related to alcohol. What are they? Yobbana mada, I am younger than all of you, so I'm intoxicated because of my youth. Somebody might say, hey, I'm senior than all of you, you gotta follow what I say to you. So we call it, age mother. Then what about the paripurya? Whatever we do in the temple, whatever we do in the society, I have to be the forefront person. Nobody else should take that leadership. Purikkarama. These are all upakilesas. Somebody may have arogyamada. I'm healthier than all of you. See, whenever I hear from you, you have knee pain, back pain, diabetes, cardiovascular issues, paralysis. But I'm so good. I'm very healthy. So you are creating an intoxication out of your health. Buddha says never ever bring anything to the level of intoxication. Just be happy, just be thankful to these blessings, but never ever compare with others. If you do, you are getting intoxicated out of one of the 108 intoxications in the text. Finally, negligence, pamada. If you are getting late for Dhamma practice, that means you are negligent, you are late for your Dhamma. So these 16, which were given in the Majjhima Nikaya 7, Anumana Sutta, or Vattupama Sutta, they are called Upakilesa 16. Akusala roots 3. Now you could see, then you are creating kilesa. The whole process is called papancha. But today, the sutta we are learning is about influxes. Why it is important? Why influxes are very important? With influxes, you are creating upakilesas and kilesas. Let's see what they are. As you know that we all been doing pronunciation practice too. So today what we are going to do is this area, right? See. Okay, from here, that means up until here. This part. And then here. Up until here. This is where we're going to study today. So what is āsavā then again? Influxes. There are many translations. Fermentations, one translation. Then cankers. Let's go by, let's say āsavas. Let's use the Pali word, because we are into a very big issue now otherwise. Right? If you juggle with translation, take the Pali word. Easy. You may not know the meaning yet, but take the Pali word. At least you know that this is the proper word. And we will find out the meaning slowly. Right? But if you pick the English translation, you will put it as the reference. Then every time you ask, not ask, cankers, tain, what are these things? English word has a loaded meaning. Every English word has a loaded meaning. So that means we have to be very careful. But for the sake of our reference, let's put it as influxes, and let's take āsavas as the predominant word here. Okay, now I'm going to ask to read, but before that, I'm going to read the whole section. Evam me sutang ekang samayang bhagava sāvattya viharati jetavani anāta pindikassa ārambhi tatrako bhagava bhikkhu āmantesi bhikkhavoti badanteti te bhikkhu bhagavatu paccassosu bhagava etadabucca. This is the most interesting part in this. Sabbāsava Sangvara pariyāyang vo bhikkhave desissāmi tang sunātha sādhukang manasikarota bāsissāmiti. All right, so if somebody wants to read this part, I would think that we will ask one or two persons, maybe one person, to read this part just to save our time for the explanation. Who wants to read this part? You can raise your hand. Kim. Yeah, Kim is always very brave. Huh? Read. Okay, Kim already raised the hand, so I'll give you the next. Okay,
It's
Kim.
okay, Bhante, if he wants to read. Shall I
No,
read?
we will give him the chance later. You can go ahead. Yes.
Okay.
Evam me suttam.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead. Yes, Brother Boo. I think you are stuck. Yeah, Kim, please go ahead.
Okay.
You want to say what's
Evam me sutang ekam tamayam.
I did it.
What is this? Who is reading? Me or
Yeah.
him?
Yeah, please read, Kim. Yeah, I'll give the translator to him.
Evam me sutam ekam samayam bhagava savatiyam viharati. Jetavan anata pindikasa.
Jetavani.
Jetavani anata pindikasa arami. Tatrako bhagava bhikkhu amantesi. Bhikkavoti vadanteti te bhikkhu bhagavato pachasosam. Bhagava eka
Pachasosum. This is not the English
Pachasosum.
summing. Pachasosum.
Pachasos Bhagava etadavoka.
Etata vocha.
Vocha.
Yes.
Saba
This
edavocha.
part, read slowly. Yeah? Read slowly, then you will get there.
Sabbāsava
Sabbāsava.
Samvarapariyayam.
Okay, make a pause over here. Make a pause over here. Sabbāsava.
Sabbāsava
Mhm.
Samvarapariyayam.
Great.
Wo.
Mhm.
Bhikkave dese sami tam sunata sadukam manasi karota basi samiti.
Great. See the skills of Kim, huh?
Thank you.
Great. Yes, great. Okay, so just to save the time and then go ahead for the larger broader context over here, let me say. Now, this part, as all of you know, normally comes from the senior monks who, preserve the text in the first council. Somebody from the what you call Bhanaka tradition said how it happened. Evam me sutta, I have heard that ekang samayang on one occasion, Savat Bhagava means the Shakyamuni Buddha, was staying viharati at Savatthi. Savatthi means it is a city. The Anatha Pindikasa Jetavani Arami. So the Jetavana Vihara, which was built by the banker called Anatha Pindika. Was this his real name, or was there another name for him? Yes. Was there another name for him? The real name for Anatha Pindika was Sudatta. What was the name? Sudatta. But because he has been very generous, he was named as Anatha means helpless people. Pindikasa, the person who was giving food to the helpless people. Right? Then Tatra ko Bhagava. You can see here they are Bhagava, Tatra ko Bhagava, they are the Buddha. Amantesi Bhikkhu. He addressed the monks. Bhikkhavoti, monks replied to the Buddha. Sorry, the Buddha addressed the monks. Bhikkhavoti, monks. Badanteti, te bhikkhu, badanteti. So the way how the monks responded was badanteti. Badanteti means, I would say, the greatest teacher. Te bhikkhu, those monks. Bhagavato Pachasosum. Those monks responded Pachasosum to the Buddha by replying to him in a way as the greatest teacher. Then Bhagava etadavocha. Then the Shakyamuni Buddha said this. This is the most interesting part of the sutta. I would say the abstract here. Sabbāsava Samvara Pariyayanko Bhikkave. This is Sami. I will teach you monks Sabbāsava. Now we know what is Sabba. Sabba means all. Huh? Āsavā means, what is āsavā? Influxes. The akusala states that come from the lobha dosa moha. Sabba āsavā Samvara Pariyaya. Samvara means, what is Samvara? Samvara means restraining. Pariyaya means method. Yeah, we'll do this way. Now we have a couple words here, but let me write this way so you understand. Sabbāsava Sutta Pariyaya. Can you see these words? Now let's find out the meanings. It's pretty bad. Happens. Okay. As you can see here, Sabbāsava Sutta Pariyaya. Sabbā means all, āsavā means influxes, Sangvara means this is the action that you are going to do for your all influxes. Sangvara means calming down or restraining. You are going to restrain your āsavas. Pariyaya means methodology, method. Today, I would say monks, I'm going to teach you how to restrain all your āsavas. I will teach you the method of restraining all your āsavas. Now the translation by this particular person says fermentation. Don't be bothered by that. We will use āsavas or influxes. Then this is a very interesting. After that, the Buddha says, Tang, therefore, sunāta, listen properly. Sadhukang manasikarot. Manasikarot. That means pay attention, pay close attention. Bhāsissāmi, I will speak. Now, this is interesting, right? When you are listening to a Dhamma talk, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do in a Dhamma talk?
Pay attention.
Pay attention. What attention? What attention? Now we are going to discuss about it. Manasika. What attention we should have?
Wise attention.
Yoniso manasika, not mere manasika. Because manasikara is automatic. We have attention even when we are mentally sick. Right? Manasikara is automatic. But what we have is just manasikara or ayoniso manasika, unwise attention. But here Buddha says manasikarota. What is implied with manasikarota means yoniso manasika. Right? So the Buddha says, I'm going to teach you the method of restraining all your āsavas. Therefore, listen properly, pay close attention to what I'm going to say. Still the bad. Then what the monk say? Evaṁ, as you say, Bhante Kote Bhikkhu Bhagavato Paccassusu. Bhagavan, same thing as you say. Then we come to, I would say, the abstract of the sutta. Now, when I asked at the beginning of what do we have to understand about Sabbāsava, Kim said, Jānato Passato. I think she took this rubric all the time, Jānato Passato. Now we will understand what is Jānato Passato. What is Jānato Passato? Jānato means you have, it is not only by knowing what is not to be done, you also need to see what is to be done at the time, also before the time, after the time, right? So our topic for today, as I gave you, was knowing Jānato is not enough. Seeing Passato is also required to overcome influxes, right? Along that lines, we are going to see. Now, I can ask somebody to read, but let me read first. Jānato ahang bhikkhave passato āsavānaṁ khayaṁ vadā no ajānato no apassato kincha bhikkhave jānato kincha passato āsavānaṁ khayaṁ vadā yonisoca manasikāraṁ ayonisoca manasikāraṁ ayoniso bhikkhave manasikarotu anuppannā ceva āsavā uppajjanti uppannā ca āsavā pavaddhanti Yonisoca ko bhikkhave manasikaroto anuppanna cheva āsavā na uppajjanti. Uppannā ca āsavā pahiyati. Now the Buddha says, when you bring the proper attention, which means the yoniso manasikara, you are doing Jānato part, also you are doing the Passato part. Right? This is what the Buddha says. Now I'm going to ask somebody to read. Who would like to read over here? Brother Wu, you want to read? Yeah, if not anybody else. All right. Who would like?
This is not too much for me, Bhante.
Okay. Let me ask somebody else over here. Yes. Anybody else? There's nothing too much in the Dham. Although you see that. Anybody else who would like to try?
I try Bhante.
Okay. Yes.
Janato ahang bhikkhave passato asavanang kayang vadami no ajanato no apassato. Kincha bhikkhave janato kincha passato asavanang kayang vadami. Yoniso cha manasikarang ayoniso cha manasikarang. Ayoniso cha manasikarang. Ayoniso bhikkhave manasikarato anupana cheva āsavā upajanti upana cha āsavā pavadanti yoniso cha ko bhikkhave manasikaroto anupanang cheva āsavāna upajanti upanang cha āsavā upana cha āsavā pahiyanti.
Great. See? Yeah, great. Now let's see how the Buddha said that if you want to practice Janato and Passato all together at the same time, then you must do it by practicing Yoniso Manasikara. What you have to do? You have to practice Yoniso Manasikara if you want to do Janato Passato for all the influxes. Let's see. Janato ahang bhikkhave passato āsavāna kayang vadami. Monks, I would tell you that the ending, I would say kayam means ending of all the influxes is being said by me. I tell you the ending of the influxes by knowing. No ajanato, no apassato. Not by not knowing or not seeing. That means the Buddha tells us what he did for these influxes in his own search. Right? Now, in many places, he always told monks and others, I'm not telling you anything that I haven't practiced. And I knew and I saw, therefore it is possible. Right? No ajanato, no apassato. That means he says, ending of the influxes is possible only by knowing and seeing. Now you might be puzzled how to do that. But not by not knowing, not seeing. Kincha bhikkhave janato kincha passato. Then here we can see how does someone end āsavas, influxes, by knowing and seeing. This is the answer. Yonisocha manasikarang, ayonisocha manasikara. If you do the right thing for the yoniso manasikara and ayoniso manasikara, that means yoniso, if you bring up yoniso manasikara for your practice, that is how you are going to end your influxes, at least to restrain your influxes. So what are we supposed to do then for influxes, āsavas? We must level up, we must intensify, we must develop yoniso manasikara. Now let's figure this out in normal terms. What is yoniso? What is manasikara then again? What is yoniso? The word yoni. Anybody? Yoniso. You have heard this term. Kammassa komhi, kamma dayado, kamma yoni, kamma bandhu, kamma patisarana. Kammang satte vibhajati, so and so forth. It says that we are born out of kammas. Our birthplace is kamma. That means we were born because of the kammas. Whatever happens to us after that, maybe not the kamma all the time, but we were born because of the kammas. That's why we were born in wherever we are. Are we happy about our birthplace, Dhamma folks? Are we happy about our birthplace? If you
Not
ask
so
from some
happy.
other folks, what are your thoughts about? Where were you born? Where were you born? In which family you were born in? They have different ideas about it. I think I would have born into a different family. My mother, my father, they were good and they might be not good, right? We were born out of a massive good karma, right? In Abhidhamma, there are different things, but we are not going to Abhidhamma because I always tell you it's an additional reading. So every person who is reborn into any life is reborn out of 19 Patisandhi Vinyanas. Animals, humans with disabilities, humans with all the abilities, then Deva, Rupavachara Brahma, Arupavachara Brahma. They all are born out of one of the 19 Patisandhi Vinyanas. And we are not going to talk about that. It's additional reading. But just want to tell you, Kamma is our birthplace. That's why we say Yoni means birthplace. Now here, Yoniso Manasikara. So how does it connect to us? Now you know Manasikara means? What does
Attention.
Manasikara mean? Attention.
Attention.
Manasikara means attention.
Attention.
Then when we add, Yoniso, how does the meaning get changed?
You say careful attention.
Careful attention. Somebody said wise attention. Then
Wise
others. Now some others translate appropriate attention.
Okay.
Appropriate attention. Then proper attention. These are the translations we have ever seen. And then wise attention. What is Yoniso Manasikara? What is when Yoniso is added to Manasikara? What will happen to the meaning?
Pay attention to where we are born.
No. I said Yoni means the birth, but it is not what exactly when Yoniso is added to Manasikara mean. It's a different idea actually.
Oh,
It means whenever we see things, whenever we hear sounds, whenever we smell something, whenever we taste something, whenever we touch something, whenever we have thoughts, are we always able to see that whole phenomena, the whole event from its entirety, or are we only taking a fraction of that event? Let's say let's take a very good example. Somebody blame you today. Somebody blame you for something that you didn't do. Now, how do you take this event to your mind? That person blamed me. So I have to either respond or I have to feel very bad about myself. How do we take it? We take it mostly from a very personal level, right? But is the self that was blamed existing anymore? Let's say 4:50 p.m. you were blamed by somebody. Now is that self still continuing? Or you are a different self now? Now it is 9:39 p.m. 5 hours ago.
different.
That self, previous self, at that time, I would say 4 p.m. self is not anymore existing.
Yeah.
Now you are the self of 9:40 p.m. But how do we take it? No, I was blamed. I shouldn't have been blamed. I was so good, but this person just messed up and then directed all the blame over to me. That means we are not looking at that particular event that happened to me in its entirety. Yoniso, from its entirety, full perspective. We are only taking it as a fraction of the event. that harm my emotional structure. In the same way, you are offering dana to somebody. Sorry, not somebody, to Sangha. You are giving something to somebody. In that perspective, are you really paying attention to the whole event? Or are you only taking, I'm giving something and I'm doing something. So may I be reborn in a very, very good place, Deva place, Brahma place, and all that. How do we take it? We are only taking it that personally beneficial aspect, so that we are not practicing alobha, adosa, right? So we are not looking at it from its entire full perspective. So yoniso means you are able to see from the full perspective of that particular event. Is it an easy thing? Is it a challenging thing to us? Huh? Is it an easy thing or is it a challenging thing to us?
Challenging.
It is a challenging, right? How can we do that? How can we do this? How can we practice yoniso manasikara? Now I said, Janato Passato is the basic way. You have, just because you know, it doesn't mean that you are going to see. So you have to know and you have to see at the time. So you are good. But it is supported by the Yoniso Manasikara. But how can Yoniso Manasikara be practical to all of us? How do we practice Yoniso Manasikara? We can practice Yoniso Manasikara by these 7 methods. Dasana, Sangvara, Patisevana, Adivasana, Parivajjana, Vinodana, Bhava. These are the ones that help us to stay focused on this full perspective of the event. So we know then what to do at each moment. Because what we are struggling is very different from morning to the evening, right? Today morning you might be complimented very well. All of a sudden things might go haywire. We never expect that. And afternoon you might be highly appreciated by somebody. You are the person. Without you, we can't do anything, right? You get loaded by lots of compliments. And around 4, 5 p.m. you will be severely blamed attacked by somebody. Again, by the evening, you get some profit, some gain, some happy news, right? That means these events can vary, from moment to moment. So how do we understand these moments? By practicing 7 methods in each as necessary. Whenever necessary, we are going to practice, we are going to incorporate one or maybe a blend of those 7 methods. Now let's proceed to the rest of the text over here. Yonisocha manasikarang, ayonisocha manasikarang. Now, ending of the influxes or restraining your influxes can be done only by yoniso manasikara. But what is ayoniso manasikara? What do you think? Do we have yoniso manasikara for the full day or ayoniso manasikara? Which of these two are more affecting to us on a daily basis? We mostly have ayoniso manasikara. That is why we are running into argument. That is why we are messing up. That is why we are blundering. That is why we are attacking other people. Right? That is why we're taking revenge, because we are not able to see. We have not been able to see things in their full spectrum, in their full, capacity. Right? Actually, if you give some time, you are able to see the full event. Right? Among many people who get really messed up, you might see somebody who is very patient, who gives some time to the full event, right? Very calm about what is happening around and beyond in his or her life. That person wins his or her life very good, in a proper way. That person has what you call this yoniso manasikara, because he or she has been able to see things in full spectrum. So most of people, they are struggling with ayoniso manasikara, not being able to see things in full spectrum. Then, ayoniso bhikkave manasikaroto anuppanna cheva āsavā uppajjantya. When you have ayoniso manasikara, then what will happen to you? There comes unarisen, I would say, unarisen influxes within, right? Now, there are āsavas that are not within you, but because you have ayoniso manasikara, these unarisen, I would say, inactive akusalas, influxes are arising now, because you have not been able to see things in full spectrum. So unnecessary akusalas, āsavas are also arising, right? Because you haven't been able to practice yoniso manasikara. Not even that. Uppannacha āsavā pavaddhanti. Let's say you have certain type of āsavas, they are also getting multiplied, double, triple, quadruple, right? You also have certain akusalas to a very minimum, lesser level. Let's say you have certain very minimal anger, but because you have ayoniso manasikara, your anger will become multiplied, quadruple, double, triple, because you are practicing ayoniso manasikara. So all the small levels of akusalas will become expanded because you have ayoniso manasikara in terms of your life. Then the good side, yoniso chako bhikkave manasikara. When you have yoniso manasikara, anuppanna cheva āsavā uppajja. When you have yoniso manasikara, the non-arisen, I would say inactive akusala states will not arise. Let's say you are good, you are very good at the moment, so, and you are practicing yoniso manasikara along the way. So unarisen akusala state, I would say āsavas don't have an opportunity to take effect because you keep practicing yoniso manasikara. Not even that, but also your uppannacha āsavā pahiyanti. If any āsavas have already arisen within you, they are also being diminished because you are practicing yoniso manasikara. Now, the key point here is that yoniso manasikara is the changer of our life into our Dhamma practice. So if you practice yoniso manasikara all day long, all night long, that means there is no space for any āsavas to take root, any āsavas to control you, any āsavas to take over. But unfortunately, sadly, we might deviate from this yoniso manasikara practice so that we might struggle. That is the point where we're going to use 7 methods that we will be discussing next Friday. That is where we're going to. Our rubric is we should be able to know what is happening to us personally, and at the same time, we should be able to respond to the bad event, to the negative event at the time. We call it passato. How do we do that? By yoniso manasikara, by being able to see everything, every event in full spectrum. I think I already told you in previous discussions that do not pick up everything. Are we supposed to pick up everything in our life, in our daily life? Pick up all the objects that's happening around me. Somebody in my neighborhood is screaming. It's supposedly not now, maybe if that is going to happen. Should I focus on that screaming? I don't have to, right? And then what if there are a lot of events happening all the time? Are we supposed to always pick up everything? No, we don't have to. So we have to train our sense faculties, sense spaces only to pick up. How do we do that? Only by practicing yoniso manasikara. If we cannot practice yoniso manasikara, we pick up everything what is happening. Oh, we are picking up in a wrong way. You might think, remember that incident that somebody was always, grumbling about, in the meditation in a place, another country. During the meditation time, there is a police car is always going. Sirens are actually going on. And he's very mad about this police car, maybe ambulances. We never know what is that. He's always struggling. His question all the time during the QA is, Bhante, I've been practicing my meditation very well, but this siren ruined my peace. I said, you know what? that is testing you, testing your meditation. If you have no testing things, you are in the comfort zone. You will never practice meditation. You never practice cultivating the mind. Your yoniso manasikara practice should not pick up everything around you. Whatever the sound is happening around me, I'm not going to pick up all that. I'm only picking up what is supposed to be picked up. I can do that because I know what is yoniso manasikara, how I can practice yoniso manasikara at all times. All right. Any questions for today? I think there was a question by Barbara and Tisilim, and after that we can go to the floor.
Bhante,
Yes, Kim.
just now you say yoniso cha, then what is ayoniso?
It is the opposite. If you cannot see things in full spectrum, that means you have ayoniso manasikara. That means this is what we are having all the time. We only take a fraction of the event. Let's say somebody did something wrong to me. Actually, there is another side of that blame. But I only take what was the hurt at that point. Then I am going to define that particular event, and I'm going to respond to that person, even react to that person. So ayoniso manasikara is you are not trying to see the full spectrum of that particular phenomenon event and then going to react without responding. That is ayoniso manasikara.
Thank you, Bhante.
It is creating lots of influxes and then two kilesas and then kilesas.
Thank you.
Yes, Barbara, you made a question before. What was it?
Oh, it was not so much as a question, Bhante, but to respond to your question. But now I want to mention about something that is disturbing me. I have a very noisy neighbor who, when he watches TV, he's in his 60s already. He would yell and scream, and it's so loud that the whole neighborhood can hear him, that kind of thing. And it disturbed me, once in a while. But now when I heard you, I feel very, very
don't pick up this noise, huh?
Yeah, don't pick up this noise.
Whatever happens around you, try to practice yoniso manasikara. If there is no any bylaw that by which somebody can complain this particular noisy neighbor, and if it creates some chaos in your household, maybe in your neighborhood, and you don't want to become the bad person to be victimized by this particular person, then practice yoniso manasikara, which means you are not going to pick up his ridiculous actions.
Yeah. It's not like a child. If it's a child, you can understand. They're very excited and all that. It's like every day is a football match show for him, whether it is a drama story or that.
Maybe you can consider 24/365 Mara is living around your area. So you can. So this could be a good Mara for me to practice my yoniso manasikara.
Right.
Good way to think about
Bhante, Bhante,
Yes.
For me.
Bhante, I
Yes.
want to ask, when we have this āsavā arising, the picking up or not picking up is an automatic reflex action, isn't it? Which we cannot control at the moment. Sure, we will pick up, isn't it?
Automatic thing is picking up.
Automatic is picking up.
Automatic thing is picking up. Autopilot is picking up. But what we are doing here is that we are practicing something at the expense of automatic picking up. We are training our thoughts to bring up yoniso manasikara to shift that automatic thing. So we are going to do a manual thing over here. We are not letting automatic things to take us over. So whenever, now the normal thing is, let's say in Barbara's example, there is somebody who is very noisy. He doesn't care about others. He's only watching his football match, right? He's only looking for his self-centered happiness. At that point, if this is not going to be overcome in a proper way, they are still going to go through this as a Buddhist, as somebody who is studying these sutta things. One thing they can do is that they can change this automatic way of picking up thing by practicing yoniso manasikara thinking that whatever somebody does, I'm not going to raise my wise attention, yoniso manasikara, to those unnecessary things. Right?
So,
It is not,
yoniso
it is not the sensory deprivation though. It is not that you are going to deprive out of your senses. You are doing it by understanding. Right? Buddhists are not supposed to be deprived of their senses. But one thing you could do that, you can wisely bring your attention to the full spectrum of what you are engaged with. Yes. Any other questions?
Bhante, when we say right
Yes.
attention, does it also means right understanding of the situation?
Right understanding.
Of the situation. Of
Uh,
whatever that
that
arises.
that is the expanded version of that yoniso manasikara. Perhaps you might not be able to have that glimpse of the event, but you are trying to stay focused on the full event as a minimalist way. So the right understanding is samadhi, right? Samadhi is the right understanding, which we have studied before. So yes, you are going towards the samadhi here, but initially you are not getting bothered by events as a fraction of that event.
Yeah.
You are going that path actually.
Yeah.
On that
So
path.
Bhante, you mentioned that Yoniso Manasikara is understanding the full spectrum of things.
Yes.
Yeah, but how do we understand the full spectrum of things within moments?
Okay, a very good question. Now here we have to describe this English word, understand the full spectrum and samadhi. Now initially we know when anything happens in our life, we are automatically going to react to all these events in a good way or bad way, maybe a mixed way. So yoniso manasikara is still a minimalist approach, like mindfulness. Mindfulness is a minimalist approach, but Sammāsati is the what you call the full aspect of that particular activity. So here yoniso manasikara means you basically try to understand the whole event, but you may not go in understanding the whole event under the samadhi. But let's say a bad event, let's say an argument, angry event, maybe a jealous event, maybe a frustration, maybe an irritation. We have an instant way of responding to those events. Let's say you are very irritated by somebody. Maybe you are not practicing samadhi in that particular moment, but you are trying to respond to that particular event in a more prepared, in a better way, as a minimalist approach. Let's say you are frustrated, but at that point you understand, yes, my frustrations come from a lot of expectations. When the expectations are not being met, I'm running into frustration. So this kind of a very minimalist understanding. But when this minimalist understanding is improved, yes, you are running towards the samadhi, that approach, right? So that is how we're going to differ the minimalist understanding of the full spectrum of the particular event and the samadhi. Actually, what is happening to most people is that not even understanding, they are picking up a fraction of that particular event and they are going to react into that particular event. This is the problem with the normal aspect of every event that we are going through. Not even understanding, they only pick up a certain uninteresting, worrying part of that event and they are making a big issue at that point. So what you are supposed to do with yoniso manasikara is kind of a minimalist approach to see things in a full spectrum when you develop that perspective, you are going towards samadhi. Gradually, slowly. Does it make sense to differ the book? It does,
So
right?
in simple lay person language, think twice before we react. Can we say
Well,
that?
yeah, we have another sutta about this, Ambalattika Rahuluvada Sutta, where the Buddha advised his son Rahula that he told his son Rahula three things in three, I would say 6 perspectives. Rahula, before you think before you think. During your thinking, also think. Think during your thinking. And after you thought, also think about that particular thought. Think before you speak. Think during your speech. Think after the speech. And then think before act. Think during act. And think after act. I know that this could be a little unpractical to some people, because there are some people who might think, I want to be spoiled today. I don't want to practice any mechanism today. I want to eat anything what I want, right? And I'm not going to manage myself. Yes, there may be some people who might think so. But if you are really concerned about your spiritual practice, maybe you are concerned about yourself and other people, you may need to give some attention, yoniso manasikara, to your thoughts, your speeches, and then your action. So we can add that too to yoniso manasikara.
Thank you, Bhante.
All right, we are almost at the time of wrapping this up. So if you have any more questions, you can raise them for our next class, where we're going to start the first method of restraining āsavas. Okay? We will be discussing what are the fundamental āsavas. There are 4 fundamental āsavas: Kama, Bhava, Ditta, Ditti, Avijja, and then we're going to be looking at how we can minimize, diminish those āsavas in 7 ways. With that in mind, we're going to transfer all the good karmas to the departed ones and share good karmas with the Deva Naga. May all the good karmas which we been accumulating today be transferred to all the departed ones. May departed ones be well and happy. May they attain the supreme bliss of Him. Sadhu,
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 sadhu.
sadhu.
Idam me jnati nang hotu sukita huntu jnateyo. Idam me jnati nang hotu sukita huntu jnateyo. Idam me jnati nang hotu sukita huntu jnateyo. May Devanaga Mahitaka share all these good karmas. May they be well and happy. May they protect and bless all of you, your family members, for good health, quality of life, prosperity, and safety. May Devanaga Mahitaka bless your spiritual Dhamma journey in particular. May Devanaga Mahitaka also attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata cha ammehi sambratang punya sampradang sabbe deva anumodantu sabbasang patti siddhya. Ittavata cha ammehi sambratang punya sampradang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabbasang patti siddhya. Ittavata cha ammehi sampratang punya sampradang sabbe satta anumodantu sabbasang patti siddhya. Ākāsattha ca bhummattha devānaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu lokasasanam. Ākāsattha ca bhummattha devānaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu desanam. Ākāsattha ca bhummattha devānaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu mang paranti chirang rakkhantu tvang sadati. In this endless sansaric journey, may we be in the company of the Kalyan Mitras, noble friends who can support us, who can help us improve our Dhamma practice. May we be not in the company of the paramitas, bad friends who can take us out of our Dhamma journey, who can pull us out, throw us out of our Dhamma journey. Thinking thus, we're going to make our wish to be in the Kalyana Mitas consistently all the way. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamu satang samagamu hotu yavanimbana pattiya. Finally, may all the good karmas which we've been accumulating today, by starting off our new sutta, Sabbāsava Sutta, be supportive and helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Abhivadana silis nichang vadha prachayino chattaru dhamma vadhanti ayuvanno sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati samidjatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Wishing you a good night and take care. We'll see you then next Friday.
Sadhu
Thank you,
Bhante.
Bhante.
Thank you,
Sadhu Bhante.
everyone.
And good
Thank you,
night,
Sis
Bye,
everyone.
Aliana.
Bhante.
Good night.
Sister Hema, are you still in